So, looking at fundamentals. And we'll look initially at document archive. It's now easier to search for documents in the document archive. Documents are organised by document key and then by document type. You can organise, filter and view documents using change view, sort by and search fields in the document archive, so it will make it much easier to find documents all on the web. The other thing is you can now open a document archive in a separate window. So again, you're not having to go back to menus and reopen other things. You actually open it in a completely separate menu. You can restrict access to documents by role, and this can all be done in the web. And you can also prevent users from seeing their own documents on the Access tab, and excluding logged in users. Move on to forms. Forms functionality is being considerably updated. It's now possible to populate form content using information that already exists in Business World. For example, selecting a template project, the project date fields and type are automatically populated. And you can do this thanks to the new default data into forms window. And what this is doing is mapping object fields into flexi fields. And the new forms allow the data populated from one field to then feed into the other fields underneath it. The new Forms dynamic layout window allows you to choose how information in one field will affect another form field. Selection of a tab in the same form or a checkbox. In this case, we're setting it up so new customers, when you check the new customer check-in box, the address field appears. And it does this dynamically, as you can see. And if you uncheck it, it takes it away. This makes filling out forms much quicker, and you don't have to have unnecessary fields included that you don't need. So it's that's really useful. You can then use service call function to populate data that's captured in forms in Business World. This uses sort of service calls to gather the data from the form and then transfer it across using sort of the web-based capture of the data. Workflows. Right, so again on the web, the publish step is now available in process definition in web. When the workflow reaches this step, then the workflow triggers a message. You can now also start a service call as a function in a system step. And this means that workflow triggers a SOAP web service or a REST API, RESTful API. These both serve as a means of communication between applications. The web service for SOAP relies on XML, and this provides a messaging service so you can update data within Business World. So where we saw with forms, this is the facility you would use to move data within Business World. To communicate with third-party systems, REST is a way of passing data between Business World and small third-party systems using an API. In this example, the user manager form updates the user manager master file. You can also use it to sort of, in this case, update the user management form. So by filling out the user management form, it's populating the relevant information into Business World for users automatically. It means that stops double keying in of information, so you're not having to take a form and then key that information in again into the relevant part of Business World. If there's some issues with that data capture, you can send a message back to the original user who set up the form to be sent out, and an error message will go to them to say that there's been a failure in communication, so that they can deal with what needs to be done to correct that. And you can also now enable email approval, so a user doesn't have to be logged into Business World to approve expenditure or give permissions of any sort. They can all do it via email, and it will send a decision back via the start of the email that was sent. Workspace. Windows have been introduced that complement Project Workspace capabilities. So user contextual action designer action setup is used for dashboards, and Windows you want to set up for Workspace and menus. Use the dashboard designer in dashboard setup to design your dashboard by picking up what items to display, such as KPI widgets or information browsers. You use the KPI setup to create KPIs that will use that, in this case, assets for your project performance. And as you can see, then your dashboard has both information browser information in one window, KPIs in another, and then general projects overview information in another window. KPIs can be set up that will help you assess your project's performance. Use the note, and you can put in formulas in there, and use the notification setup to notify. Will help identify actions should be taken in order to make your projects run smoothly. In this case, for spend greater than 20 and up to 40, it's yellow, and 40 or and above, it's red, so therefore it's overspend. And then you can update the notifications of KPIs using these two jobs, and they will update your system. Fixed registers and system admin. Transaction types are now available in web. They were originally available in desktop, but now for this latest release, transaction types are now available in web, and you can add and amend. And the web service account window is available in system admin in web now. You can use this window to save service accounts, and service accounts allow server-to-server interaction between Business World services like Workflow and Business World, and also the RESTful web services. System common parameters that have been added. The web services URL defines the location of the services.svc file for SOAP web services. The RESTful API URL defines the link to an open API specification file, REST API web services. The username recovery allowed defines if users can retrieve their username in mobile applications by providing their email. System parameters. The Mobile jailbreak dev specifies whether rooted and jailbroken mobile devices are allowed to connect to the Business World server. If a user of Business World have got their own development teams that break into the operating system of mobile devices for their own requirements, this is a way of actually making that happen, or vice versa. If people don't want jailbroken and rooted devices to connect with their server for security reasons, we can stop that happening. Mobile allow UNTR serve cert and determines whether native mobile applications should be allowed to connect to a Business World On server, which has a service certificate that is not trusted by the mobile device. So again, this is for controlling with apps that people have on mobile devices, and if someone puts something on that shouldn't be there and there isn't a certificate that's trusted, then it won't communicate. The following APIs are available under the send points, so you can now communicate with third-party systems with all of these attributes types.